And the way that came about was I was out on the road playing. And back in the 70s and 80s, you know, you would go to a town and there would be, you know, so many bands, you know, everywhere that you couldn't even meet everybody sometimes. And if you did a week or 2 week or 3 week stint or whatever your stint was at the time, you know, you try to go around, meet fellow players and see what other guys are doing. Well, when the 90s rolled around, you would go to some of these same places and they'd say, oh yeah, we have our band. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's band. So it was dawning on me that musicians were dying out. And I thought, oh no, the craft can't die because things are changing. You know, change can be good. Mm-hmm. But I thought, the craft is dying. I thought, no way. I mean, you go to larger cities and they have a couple of bands here and there. Whereas back in the 80s, there was a band on every corner, it seemed like. And then sometimes you'd be on stage playing and, you know, guys would come in to see you. Mm-hmm. You know, and you'd be thinking, okay, this is cool. Mm-hmm. And by the time the 90s rolled around, all the towns would say, oh, I think we have a band here. Mm-hmm. I went, oh, that sucks. That's awful. Basics. You know, something as simple as scales. Now, that's not something that you would think a teacher would do, but sometimes that's what you need. And that's to get vibe and feel, and it's not even for the technical aspect. It's to maybe get warmed up, make sure that your hands are ready to actually go out and play the instrument. Something as simple as just basics. Not feeling like you know what to practice can be one. And then another is when it's you doing it, you don't see your own progress. When I'm teaching, I try to put things in place so that my students can tell that they're getting better, because you don't feel like you're getting better. I played for 10 years and never thought I got any better. Mm-hmm. And looking back on it, I don't know how I couldn't tell, but I watch my students, and you know, sometimes I'll have a student for a couple of years or so, and they'll say, you know, am I getting any better? And I'm thinking, how can you not tell that you're getting any better? But it's a self thing. If there's not things in place for you, you know, hurdles for you to climb basically, or steps to climb, look at it that way. If you know, you started on step 1, somebody has to remind you that you started on step 1. Because if you're on step 7 now, as a player, when you get on step 7, if you're trying to go to step 20, to you, step 7 is nothing. Now, other people watching you will be going, wow, man, so-and-so is getting good, man. You know, he or she is getting really good here. But to yourself, it's like, I'm trying to get to step 20. And I don't know where step 20 is, but I know I'm not there. So to yourself, it feels like failure, even though it's not. A lot of my students want speed. Yeah. And that was a thing as far as me. I wanted to just play fast when I started. I didn't even want to play good back then. Mm-hmm. Just fast, right? And again, that was a perception. Well, a lot of my students ask me about, well, man, how can I get my speed up? And I have to tell them, you know, speed is a process. If you haven't played music that moves fast, you won't be able to play music that moves fast. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds simple, but it really is that. You know, I even tell some of my younger ones, I want you to play these punk songs. I want you to play these fast disco songs. I want you to play, you know, music that moves fast. And then sometimes I'll even put them on a machine, and we'll move the machine quickly.
Just to kind of force them out of that comfort zone.
Out of the comfort zone. Then sometimes they'll go back to it and go, why did I think this was hard? And I tell them, it's because you were in one thought process. Once we changed your thought process, then it was easy for your body to adjust to another thinking.
Yeah.
Well, I had a guy asked me once, he said, why would you want to be able to do all this stuff that people aren't doing? And not to sound arrogant, but the answer is because you can. Mm-hmm. And once you can find a musical purpose for it. You know, you take the people that are exceptions, whomever they are, on whatever instrument they are. Was it necessary for them to really go there? None of us had ever gone there before, right? I mean, you can even go back as far as, you know, the classics, Beethoven and Mozart and Schumann and Tchaikovsky and all these guys. It wasn't necessary for them to have to do that. So then why did they? Because it brought more musicality to what they were doing because they could. And I think everybody should always push the limits, always. I don't care what it is, whether it's speed or melodicism or drumming or whatever you want to do. I think everybody should push the limits, always.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a whole bunch of questions, even though it sounds like one.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah. You have to find something that you enjoy about doing it, first of all.
So you have to find a way to enjoy practice.
Practice, right.
Okay.
Practice, period.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give you just one source. When I started, I didn't like to practice. I wanted to get down, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to play, right? And I'm sure I'm the only one that's ever felt that, right?
Yeah, I never felt that.
Yeah. And I'm sure none of our people listening have ever felt that either, right?
Right.
So what I would do is I would go through the stuff that I didn't like first. And whether you know it or not, when you're playing music, it will lead you to other things. I've even told some of my students, don't even try to figure out what to do. Sit down and try to do the same thing over and over again. And the reason why I tell them that is because you won't anyway. Mm. If you're sitting down playing a bass riff or a drum beat or a guitar riff or keyboards or sax or whatever you're performing, you're going to go somewhere else because you're going to get tired of doing the same exact thing over and over. You're going to go someplace just because you're sitting there, which is a good thing. You're teaching yourself a bunch of things. One, you're teaching yourself discipline. Two, you're learning to create while you're sitting there. Three, you're going places that you haven't gone before, which is a mindset also. Because bass players, we're the guys that our job is keeping it the same for the rest of the musical base. So bass players are constantly saying, yeah, but I don't know where to go. I tell them, then keep going in the same spot until you accidentally go somewhere else. Because you will. You won't play the same thing every day. That's why you should start playing the same thing every day. No matter what. Just sit down and just start doing it. And you'll see, you'll end up going here and going there. You'll make mistakes that you'll go, oh, that was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. You know, there's some circles, we call them happy accidents. Yeah. Where you're playing something that you didn't think you meant to play, but it was like, oh, that was pretty cool. Hey, I think I'll try that again. Mm-hmm. Now, what did I do? Now you're on a quest to figure out where you went, and then you got to ask yourself, why did you go there? It's strictly like I said, because you could. And you can incorporate that into your practice schedule as well as playing live. Now, for playing live, I don't recommend experimenting.
Go with what you know.
No, go with what you know right now. Now, there are some people that can do that, but that's not everybody. And the instrument matters also. You know, if you're a guitar player, for say, if it's a certain musical style, there's places where you can stop and start, and that's okay. If you're a bass player, you can't stop and start in the middle of the songs. If you're a drummer, you can't stop and start in the middle of the songs, right? It's our job, bass and drums, to hold the songs together. Mm-hmm. So we can't do that. But whatever instrument you're on, you have to learn the discipline for that instrument. I try to give my students things that they enjoy doing. Like if my student is trying to learn a specific song, sometimes I'll just tell them, just go home and try to learn the song. Even if you learn it wrong, we can still fix it. Even if you play the wrong licks, or you're in a particular scale and you're playing the wrong scale, you're playing the wrong notes. So, and the reason why I try to pick songs that they already know, or that they want to know, is because you'll go do what you want to do. But if I give them, let's say, I take them back in the 40s and say, I want you to play a Rodgers and Hammerstein song. Mm-hmm. They're going to go, man, I don't want to play that crap. I'll just tell them that I practice. Yeah. And you know how it is. You can look at a student and tell they didn't practice.
After the first note.
Well, sure. Well, sure, yeah. Yeah. You can look at him and go, man, he didn't even touch that instrument. But motivation, again. If you're not motivated to go do something that's cool, you don't want to sit there and play some crap that you're not even interested in. But if I give you one of the songs that you're trying to learn, or one of your favorite songs, I won't even have to tell you to practice. You're going to go home, throw your stuff down, where's my instrument, and start going for the gusto.
Yeah.
And that's one of my techniques. I try to give them something that they already enjoy doing. Yeah. And I highly recommend it. Because I was that way.
Yeah.
I think people should have music in their life always, no matter whether it's an appreciation, novice, semi-pro, just on the weekend, whatever. I think music should be in everybody's life, no matter on what level it is. I used to say things about countries that didn't allow rock and roll concerts back in the 80s. And I would always say, if these guys had rock concerts, they wouldn't have time for some of the foolishness that they have going on. Mm-hmm. Now, it was done in joke form, but think about that in a regular life. I've even said it, with gangs and violent kids and that kind of stuff. I've had people come into my program as, well, man, this kid is lost and, he's doing this and he's doing that. And I've had parents come back and tell me, I don't know what you did, but boy, he got focused, no more trouble, not in school. I try to explain to them, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
It was them. They found their passion, and now that stuff doesn't matter anymore. And I've been saying it for years and years and years. You put the right instrument in the right kid's hand, you need to just get out of the way. You won't have to tell them that not to go out and get in trouble and get in fights. And they won't have a desire to do it. They'll be doing something else. They will. I've seen it for years and years and years and years and years. And I'm probably one of them. I would look back on my life and think, wow, I had a great big fire to play. And then I think, well, what would have happened if I hadn't done it? With the kind of energy that I even have now. I think back, and that youthful, unharnessed energy.
Right.
That's a problem waiting to happen. But once you get them focused, man, I've seen it for years and years and years. I've had parents tell me, I got a student right now, which I won't mention this person's name, of course, but their parents are telling me, well, this particular kid, been in trouble, done this and done that. And I already know he's getting ready to come out of it. I see the fire in this person now. I already know. In a year, that kid won't be in trouble at all. Hmm. And it won't be me. It'll be them. Put kids in music.